Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I am the almightyzentaco, and I would like to apologize for not making a video for about a month. I got really sick. I caught like every flu that there was, like 6 different illnesses. I ended up in the hospital. And then I was preoccupied with the game jam. And then I was painting a basement. So I've been rather busy and or sick and dying. So sorry about that, but it has been a month, so it's time for me to kick out another video. So this one is going to be a effect video. I'm going to show you how to make an effect where the player in a platforming game kicks up dust both by jumping and by landing with enough velocity. So I have organized the code already into a PMO group of events. So I'm going to insert a new group of events and I'm going to call this dust. And this is going to be where we put all of our dust code. Let's go back to the frame. If we look right now, we just have a little guy who will jump around the screen and smile when he jumps. Okay, for this to work, we're going to need an object, so insert an active object. And this is going to be our dust, so name it dust. I don't want to do any fancy art, so I'm just going to make this a white square, which I am going to resize to something about 5 pixels by 5 pixels. So that is my piece of dust. We do not need to create this at start, so uncheck that because we're going to be creating this through code. Now the dust will need some alterable values. We're going to be using subpixel movement on this, so we're going to need an x speed. Actually, first we're going to need a trans value, an x speed, a y speed, an x pos, and a y pos. Now if you don't know what subpixel movement is, I have a tutorial on that. All it is it allows you to move at a rate of less than 1 pixel per cycle. All right, let's go ahead and name these. It's trans, x speed, y speed, x pos, and y pos. We need to add some stuff to our player too. So click on the player, give him an alterable value. We're going to call that y speed, and that's going to be, we're going to track the y speed of the player so we can check against it to find out if he is going as fast as we need him to go before he kicks up dust, because we don't want the dust to kick up unless he's going max speed. Also going to need a flag. Going to call this flag on ground. We're going to use this to keep track of whether or not we're on the ground or not. All right, let's get down to coding. Going to use the event list editor for this. Now I've got some complaints that I move a little fast in these tutorials, so I'm going to try to take it slow, nice and slow. All right, so what do we need to do? Well, first, let's kick up a little bit of dust whenever the player jumps. So to find out the player's jumping. All right, so to find out if the player's jumping, what we're going to do is this. I'm going to find out if, under the platform movement object, the object state is object is standing on ground. So we want to know if the guy is on the ground. And then we're going to find out if the player pushes the jump button. For this program, for this code here, it's the spacebar, but this is the point where you'd want to put in your particular input for jumping. So we will go to the keyboard upon pressing a key, and that was space. So all we want to do here now is start a loop. So we're going to start a fast loop, and I'm going to call this gen underscore dust underscore middle. And I'm going to run this a random 6 plus 1. The reason I'm doing random 6 plus 1 is because random will return, random 6 will return a value between 0 and 5. I do want there to always be at least some dust. Actually, let's have it plus 2. That way there's at least 2 pieces of dust. I'm also going to go ahead and make this 5 so there is a less amount of maximum dust. So we're just going to start a loop. Now there's going to be 3 different loops we're going to use for this. We're going to have a gen dust middle, gen dust left, and gen dust right. They're going to be very similar though, so once I create the gen dust middle, I can simply copy and paste that and modify it just a bit. So that's the easiest way to do this. So that will start the loop. Now we got to do something on that loop. So go to on loop, and what was the loop? Gen dust middle. All right, so on this loop, what we're going to do is simply create an object, and that's going to be the dust. And it doesn't really matter where I set it, because we're going to update its position next through code. We're going to set its x coordinate to the x coordinate of the player. Now you see here how it put this line above the create. We want to make sure the create is first, otherwise this won't work properly. And then we want to set the y coordinate to, and this is important, the y coordinate of the player, but of his bottom edge. So y coordinate of bottom edge. And that's because we obviously want to spawn the dust at the feet because it's supposed to be spawning off the ground. All right, now we need to do some other stuff. Since this is the middle, we want to have the dust spread out a bit, and we're going to give it an X speed and a Y speed and all that, yada, yada, yada. Oh, since we are using sub-pixel movement, though, we do need to plug these position values into the XPOS and YPOS value because we are going to be setting position based on that because that allows us to use a float. By default in Fusion, you can't use floats for the X and Y coordinates. I believe that is being updated in 3, but I'm not sure. All right, so just go to the alterable value and set XPOS to its X position. And then we're going to set YPOS to Y position. Now, as before, make sure you do this after these actual X and Y positions have been set relative to the player. We'll just copy and paste this since we're modifying a variable. That's the fastest way. Select YPOS and change this X to a Y. Perfect. It's now been updated. Lastly, let's go ahead and give it some X speed and Y speed. So set the X speed to an R random, that's a random range, and we're going to say like -30 and 30. Now the reason we're doing a large number like this, obviously we don't want this to move 30 pixels per cycle, that would be absurd, but we want to have a large scale of potential values, but then we're going to make them manageable values for how far this moves. And we're going to do that by multiplying by 0.01. That makes sense. I'll bring up a calculator. I'll show you what I'm talking about. See, like this could give us a value of like say we did, you know, -3 to 3. That would only give us the potential of -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. There would be significantly less values we could run through. But -30 to 30, that gives us 60 values. So like if we end up with like 22, we multiply by 0.01, it's, you know, 0.22. So we'd be moving 0.22 pixels per cycle. Hopefully that made sense. All right, so now we have our random speed set up. We're gonna go ahead and set up a Y speed now. So set up Y speed to our random negative, I don't know, 30 to a -1 and multiply it by 0.01. Okay. So that is what we need to do to set up those variables. So it looks like our dust has been properly set up. Now we need to move it. So that'll be an always event. And all we're going to do is we are going to, wait, hold on. Instead of moving it, we want to also make it semi-transparent. We're going to increase its transparency value so it just kind of fades out. And when it gets fully transparent, we're going to destroy it. So let's do that first. Let's go ahead and add 1 to trans, and then set the effect compatibility semi-transparency to the value of trans. There's a dog whining in the other room. Let me take care of that real quick. Value of trans. I'm gonna go fix this dog. Gonna give him a treat and pat him on the head. Be right back.
20 minutes later.
Okay, the annoying dog has been consoled and cuddled, so hopefully he shuts up. All right, what were we doing? So got the semi-transparency set. Now we need to update the positions. We do that this way. We're going to add to the value of XPOS, and we're going to add what to that? The value of X speed. So we're just adding X speed to XPOS and Y speed to YPOS. So do it again, alter value, add to YPOS, and we're going to add the value Y speed. Oops, I did X speed. We can just manually change that X to a Y, and that will work perfectly. So yep, and yep, everything looks good. Now we just need to destroy the object when it's transparent. So find out if trans is greater. We'll say like, I don't know, 150, and then we'll destroy it. I actually don't remember what fully transparent is. I think it's 130 or I don't know. Whatever, it's not that big of a deal. Well, let's see if this worked. Let's run it. Oh, it didn't work. And that's because I forgot to actually set the X position and Y position of the object to the XPOS and YPOS values. That's very important. Let's do that now. position, set x coordinate to the value of xpos. And then set the y coordinate, obviously, to the value of ypos. Okie dokie. Let's check it out. Boom, there it is. Okay, there's one thing I don't like. It is spawning all of these from exactly one point in the middle. It would look better if we gave it a slight spread. So let's do that this way. Whenever we create the object and we set its initial x position, we're going to add to that a range. random, -30. No, that's too high. -15 to 15. That'll give us a 30 pixel range of our initial position. Now let's take a look. Oh yeah, much better. Okay, I do notice that the I did notice that the particles are moving up a little slow, so we're going to go ahead and modify that a tad. And I'm going to do that this way. I'm going to set this to a -50 to a -1, and we're going to let this to be -50 to 50. So this will give us more velocity. Also, I think this would look better if they had a decay, so that whenever you jump initially, the force of your jump will pull them out quickly, but then they slow down as if they had weight, as if the force of because they're just little particles of dust, so the wind is going to make them slow down after they've been initially disturbed. So we can do that in number line 4 here on the always event. And we'll do that this way. We're just going to add a decay. So go to the x speed value and set it to the x speed value times 0.985. That's what we're going to go with. Let me copy and paste this and modify. Turn this x speed to a y speed and change this x to a y, and that should do us just fine. Let's take a look now. Yeah, looks good. I like how it slows down as it goes. That dust might stay there a tad long. We could always speed up the transparency process. Like on the always event, instead of 1, you can set it to +2, you know, like that. Yeah, I like that better. Okay, now we need to set it up so that whenever we hit the ground with enough speed that we kick up dust. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to have to use the flag we were doing before. So first, let's find out if we are colliding with the ground. For the first time. Obviously, you don't want to run this consistently when on the ground. You only want to run it when colliding with the ground. So we'll do that this way. We'll find out if the flag is off and that flag was on ground. And then we're going to find out if the object state is on the ground. So when that happens, we're on the ground, and we weren't on the ground before because the flag is off. So we're going to turn that flag on so that this works properly. Set on flag ground. So what's happening here is we're making sure that this only happens the first time that we are on the ground. So for this to function properly, we obviously also have to set the flag off whenever we're not on the ground. So let's do that right now. Let's set up another event here. We'll say object state. Object is standing on ground, but we're going to negate that, making it a negative. So meaning the object is in the air. He's falling or he's jumping. And what we're going to do is set that flag off. So that's under flags, set off, and we're going to set off on ground. So perfect. That's exactly what we want. Let me switch those positions just because it doesn't matter, but it works better for my mind. All right. Anyway, hit the ground. All right. So this is the point here where we set this flag on, that this event runs once. This is when we want to actually kick up the dust. So let's do that through a loop like we did before. Fast loops, start loop, and it was gen dust, but we're gonna have 2 of them. We're gonna have a gen dust left and a gen dust right, because we're gonna have dust kick off from the outsides of the player, and these ones gonna be a little different because they're gonna kick off in the direction that they're facing. So we'll do that. We'll give it a random 5 + 3. Okay, let's copy and paste that and edit. And all we need to do is change left to right and Make that the same on how many times we run it. So now we're gonna start 2 loops. We're starting a left dust loop and a right dust loop. Now for the loops themselves, I'm just gonna copy the first loop and then make some modifications. So boom, boom, we copy it twice. Edit the line 4 and change it to left. And then we'll edit this one here and change it to right. All right, so what do we want to do different? Well, the first thing we want to do different is where we set the exposition. We don't want it to be random. Okay, so just delete that whole line. Since this is, oh wait, I just messed up. Sorry, that was dust middle. On gen dust left. All right, I apologize. Okay, see where it says set exposition to X of the player plus R random -15, 15, blah blah. Edit that. Delete it. We don't want any of that. Since this is the dust generating to the left, we're going to do it this way. We're going to set the position We're going to set the position X coordinate of left edge. That's all we got to do. So we're generating to the left. The Y position is still at the bottom. All this is fine. All we want to do now is change the Y speed is fine. It's the X speed we want to change. So we want this to move left. So right now this X speed is potentially left and right. All we got to do is make that +50 a -1. This will give us a range of, actually make it 0. Nah, -1. We don't want it to be stationary. Boom. That should work just fine. And then we do the same thing here. Replace this with position, set the position of the dust, its X coordinate to the player's position, X coordinate of right edge, because this is the dust that we're creating on the right side. And then we modify the X speed on this one as well. And again, it's a random range. We're gonna say 1 to 50. Should be perfect. Everything else should be exactly the same. So this is gonna generate this dust no matter what, because we haven't done the thing yet where we look for velocity. So let's make sure it worked. Boom. Yeah, so whenever we hit the ground, it creates dust. Perfect. Now all we want to do is limit that so that it only creates dust when we're going maximum speed. And we'll do that this way. On line 8, where we're finding out if the player is not on the ground, this is the point where we're going to go to our player and update the alterable value of Y speed. And we're going to turn that, we're going to grab the Y speed variable from the platform movement object. So we'll just get the Y velocity. So now we have the Y velocity plugged in. Anytime the player is falling or jumping, we're finding the Y velocity. Now on line 9, where we actually trigger the creation of the dust, we want to find out if the Y speed is equal to, and then go over to the platform movement object and get the maximum Y velocity. So the platform movement object only lets an object increase its speed till it hits the max velocity. So this means that no matter what that max velocity is set to, the player is currently moving as fast as it can according to the engine. And that is the point at which we would like to kick up dust. Not before, only when you're moving max speed. So you have to have a significant fall. Like right now, no dust is kicked up when you hit the ground. So let's jump up here and jump off. Boom, kick up dust. Creates a nice little effect. This is also the point at which you would want to have your little like donk sound effect for hitting the ground. All right, well, that's that, guys. I'm going to leave this MFA in the description below. Hope you found this video educational and useful. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, though, feel free to join my Discord channel. Link is down below in the description. Lots of people there who are willing to help you out with your projects. And I think that about covers it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.